Welcome to Leading Women in Poker. I'm joined today by two industry heavyweights who will share their insights and some exciting news. They are formidable leaders who continue to help shape the industry and are also exceptional role models for women in poker. Kerryjane Craigie is the director of poker at PokerStars Live at the Hippodrome here in London. KJ has also been appointed to the WPA International Board to champion the Raise It Up campaign outside of North America. Ivonne Montealegre is a serial entrepreneur. She's the founder and event director of the Malta Poker Festival, the CEO of Fiebree, and the vice president of the WPA. It is a great honor to have you both here. Thank you for making time. Let's start with a broad question. Collectively, you've been in this industry for a long time, decades. As far as your experience within the live poker world is concerned, in your opinion, how has it changed over time? Ivonne, do you want to start us off?
It has. I've seen a very interesting change and a drift on the player profile, which I enjoy a lot to see. The very aspirational poker. And now we see the poker professional people caring a lot about wellness and about a more balanced approach to the game, which has its health style repercussions in a positive way. And I love that. I love how you don't smoke in poker rooms nowadays. And I love the fact that the player profile is very involved now in having a balanced life with poker, career, family. So I see that in a lot of my clients, the change of the dark poker rooms into a more mainstream, which is what we want. We want poker to become much more mainstream and not penalized and not having this dark stereotype around it. And I've seen the change, and I think it's more open now. The celebration of the winners as well highlights how professional you need to be these days. I mean, the game has become much more harder. People put their hours studying, and that's what I like. I've seen, and I like the evolution of the poker player. In terms of studying, in terms of the amount of intellectual exercising you put into the game.
And Kerryjane, what do you think?
I pretty much echo what Ivonne said. I mean, I agree. I feel the poker play now is stronger. It's a much more targeted entity. I mean, I can reference examples of how poker has been and has been perceived as long as it's been played. And fundamentally, those views don't change. But for me, I agree with Ivonne, the seam of a vein that runs through, like precious stones in a rock, I guess, get more substantial over time. If you'd have asked me 20 years ago, is it luck or skill in poker? I would have erred on the side of luck. And I don't believe that anymore. It's more skill, and that prevails in poker much more today than it did, back then. It's heavily weighted with the math, the strategy, the awareness of your opponent is much more apparent. And like you highlight in your book, the crossover into mainstream life in terms of thought process and application of the same strategies is very apparent. There's always been local leagues, pub games, university clubs, but I think they have more meaning now. They're almost like a stepping stone, and that's how people start their careers, if you want for a better word, into poker now. And people are more professional poker players that make their living. They're effectively a business in their own right. Very intelligent, very applied thought mechanisms, and poker is different now, but it's as strong as it's ever been.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see for players, but then also we have examples of players like Barney Boatman, who just won the EPT, right? At 68, he is from a different breed, from a different era, but it just shows that perhaps why should I tell you? What will you tell me? What do you think about that?
I mean, I was sitting there watching, and Barney is just an awesome advocate of the poker world, and like a godfather, for want of a better word. And to see him win an EPT, and in one of the largest, if not the largest field that EPT Maine has had, and and his speech is just like it gets you, but it just shows you that patience is a virtue. I must admit, poker taught me patience. And it has no bias. Poker itself has no bias. You still need a little bit of luck, but it doesn't matter who you are. And that again shows you how poker is strong. Largest EPT field, WSOP record last year. Malta Poker Festival, huge numbers and great excitement around it. And I'm still in love with the game and the environment, and I still have such a passion for poker. On my WhatsApp it says playing poker, watching poker, working in poker, and that really is who I am. And I think a lot of people are like that.
Ivonne, you run tournaments all year round. In what way has demographic changed? Has the demographic changed at all, or do you see no change at all?
Well, I wanted to add to the previous question that not only a savvier poker player, but a savvier industry. I mean, it comes with the global. I mean, when I started playing poker and working in poker, there was no internet. We've grown together. The community has grown together, and we've learned together about this global phenomenon of communication. So that has helped the game immensely too. All these discussions, sometimes we think we have a very spicy, critical community, sometimes too overcritical, sometimes overcomplicating the game a little bit, but I want to savor the part where we're so much more connected, and we're sharing all these experiences and learning on a really interesting global scale. I mean, what we have been living since I'm in my 20s, a while ago, till now, it's a complete transformation of the game, of the world, of roles, it's just exciting to be alive right now.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. So in terms of taking a deeper dive into the more specifically anything that hasn't changed, but you believe, either of you believe, should change, is there anything that one should focus on or can focus on?
I think that although perception of poker players is changing, it needs to go at a faster pace. It's always been by other segments of gaming or skill-based players. It's poker, it's only poker. Themed is almost a blanket statement of characters, I think, hoodie wearing, glassware, sunglass wearing people that walk around with backpacks. That's not the demographic anymore. And so linking to that, we have, as I said, highly successful businessmen and businesswomen that make money through poker. It's time to look and see where they're playing and how they're playing and the environment that they are playing in. We shouldn't put them in basements and in the corners as an add-on in casinos any longer. We recognized that here at the Hippodrome in 2019 and moved to a new floor. And overnight we went from 8 tables to 19 tables. And it was like we built it and they came. And we recognized that the poker players had a functioning part of the ecosystem of the Hippodrome. And I think other locations need to recognize that and not stereotype what a poker player is. And that's the only thing I think that probably needs a little bit of a look at to change in poker.
Well, I must be very critical about the licensing of poker. I mean, am I going to see legal poker all across the United States in my lifetime, which is what I've been working with? Keep in mind, I'm Costa Rican, and I started working in poker when the online poker companies were originated in Costa Rica. So I've seen it all, and I've seen a little bit of a wild west development with that. And 7 years ago, we had strong lobbyists in the United States trying to lobby the idea that poker is a skill game and should be included on the chess range and so on. And now, years later, I see that we're lacking that interest in the lobbying, which is sad for me. That conversation has stopped recently and has drifted. It went nowhere, and it went nowhere, and it's halted, that conversation. So I believe that this is something I would want to see: regulated, licensed poker all across, and not these gray markets where then you have issues like sites operating with bots and, you know, very Wild West still. If we would have a more mainstream approach to poker, where governments get the taxing part of the game and can make substantial and beneficial changes in the community because of this taxation, then we would be in a much more elevated category. And I really want to see that during my lifetime.
Why do you think that conversation halted? What do you believe was the reason? Do you have any insights to that?
Some other much more prevalent conversations, like Ukraine, the world crisis now with Israel, and you know, it's we were not strong enough when we had the public ear in the United States, and that conversation was certainly halted.
Yeah, I guess it needs perhaps a concerted collective effort, perhaps through, you know, all the various organizations and associations in poker to come together to then lobby the various governmental institutions or legislators to help lift it out of that position into a more legalized, perhaps accredited form of leisure.
I mean, top Ivy League universities in the United States teach poker, because we all know poker gives you, like KJ said, it has taught me patience, it has taught me resilience, it has taught me a bigger umbrella for frustration, etc. So it's being taught in universities as a way of gaining some kind of special skill set. So I think if we keep pushing that agenda, which is a very valid agenda, that we should be allowed to play and practice online poker from home as our own adult leisure, I think that can reactivate the conversation and make it relevant again.
Sure. I mean, poker is definitely rising in popularity, right? We have that going for the industry. You know, you only need to glance at the global tournament schedule and you can see that players are spoiled for choice in every corner of the world. And you both host and run large live poker tournaments. Is live poker experience a boom, would you say? And if so, why do you think that is? Kerry? Jane?
It's attractive. I mean, for all the reasons that we've mentioned, it's such an attractive environment and arena to get into. I know I keep probably echoing the same, but there's a certain intelligence now in the poker world, and from the money aspect, you know, there are very attractive figures to be won. And it's not just about the money. It is about, you know, the kudos of beating your peers and, you know, exceeding to a final table and, you know, applying the strategy and the mindset. And as Ivonne said, like, on the, you know, people are coaching and being coached and studying, etc. It's definitely booming. I mean, we've mentioned EPT Paris, WSOP, and all the other that are having record numbers. I just think people want to be involved, and I always say after every festival that I read about or attend, that, you know, and I say, if anyone thinks that poker is fading, they're not out on the street and looking at it. You know, there's every age group knocking at the door, and new generations are coming in, and it's one of those elements that as you progress through the generations in your age little bracket, you don't stop playing poker. You just, you add to your prowess. I get it, because you learn what the youngsters are learning, and so you've got experience, and then you've also got a little bit of the new element. So I don't see poker fading.
I think also sorry, KJ, I think also a big boom coming with the fact that we were just in a pandemic lockdown where we couldn't communicate, we couldn't interact. We haven't yet to know what the real aspects in children are. For example, that's a super interesting sociological testing that needs to be done. I want to know what is happening with my children. I can see it. I have a 2-year-old, 3-year-old that was born and lived his major development years locked in with his parents and with very little socializing with the outside world. And I think that has an impact. And poker was one of the industry's hardest hit. I had to stop the Malta Poker Festival for 1 whole year. So I think after we face that, we now even see it much more as a luxury. That's the way I see it as a player. When I'm playing in the dealer, I have my appreciation for dealers and teachers and people, nurses, and after the pandemic grew to the roof. I mean, I've always respected dealers, but what I'm saying is that now I find it like such a luxury to be dealt cards by another human. It's so beautiful. And we are, as poker players, appreciating that fact. I think that we can play again, that we can be together again. And I think after the pandemic, big boom. Yes, I see the numbers. As KJ say, you set the show, players come in. So I see a lot of thirst for live poker. Why? Because it's a great hobby. It's a fantastic hobby. There's big money. Right. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah. The only thing that
seems to be insatiable, right? I mean, there's a lot of tournaments going on. From an operator's perspective, does this abundance of choice that was created for players create challenges for you as operators?
My thoughts on that are very clear. We can all have a piece of the pie. There's 365 days. There's 52 weekends. There's 52 weeks. Well, 54, I get 51. I can't do the math. 51, I guess, if you take out Christmas, etc. And I think when operators purposely clash with another festival and event, the only ones that lose in that case are the players. There's no winners in that environment. And we should all be adult enough to recognize everybody's standing as an operator. By clashing and by putting too much on the same time, it dilutes prize pools. Players have to make a choice. And putting on a local derby just is not attractive to anybody, to a point where I've had players say, I just decided not to play either of them because neither of them would have been the tournament that they wanted to play. And that's a shame, because we should be not working in collusion, but we should be working collaboratively and throw a little bit of respect to each operator to have that little segment or that little bit of time. So there's plenty going on. The mystery bounty boom is very, very clear right now, and everybody wants to put a mystery bounty into their schedule. But we mustn't forget the players that just want to play a true, pure game of poker. And that's another thing that I think we all need to be mindful of.
I think you mentioned collaboration, right? Like, talking about collaboration, you two have recently joined forces to enhance player experience. Like, you putting your money where your mouth is. And I'm particularly referring to your innovative idea of hosting a day one of the Malta Poker Festival at the Hippodrome Casino in London. So perhaps, Ivonne, you can elaborate on how that came about and how in practice it will work.
Well, I met KJ and the Hippodrome ladies a year ago, and I'm just fascinated with the community. I must say, I'm a little bit jealous that I'm not there. I get legitimate FOMO sometimes, but I do feel part of this gorgeous, amazing community of women, and the Hippodrome as well. When there are big games, I was playing there a poker tournament. I loved it. I absolutely loved it and wished I lived there. And that's just I saw that and I became fascinated. And then with the Malta Poker Festival, we had this idea. We have a lot of British clients. Malta is a big favorite of the Brits. We have a lot of history together, from the Queen spending her days in this beautiful villa and holidaying with the sailing and all this. UK has been connected with Malta. So we are doing a day one London remote at the Hippodrome Casino. And it's a beautiful effort. And I have to thank KJ for believing in us, for liking our tournament and being part of it. And not only is she a big protagonist of this spring's version, she is the host of the Ladies First, that will take place during the Malta Poker Festival. And she's also the catalyst, the fantastic catalyst to this historic move. And it really gives me goosebumps because, sincerely, if you look into this, into this action, it's a beautiful act of love, if you would say, from the Hippodrome to the Malta Poker Festival and vice versa, where we are collaborating. And I hope it's successful, and I have my best hopes for it, because I think it's beautiful to show the world how two countries can unite. And it's going to be great for the players. If you want to play the Malta Poker Festival, you can qualify already from London, and everything is handled to the uttermost in the uttermost right way to do it. You can rest assured that the prize pools are respected, the guaranteed is honored. All the ethics of poker are going to be there, because KJ and I are behind this. So I think it proves how, when two women decide to join forces, this is what happens. Let's make love, not war.
I mean, it is such a great idea, KJ. I don't know how much, how easy it was for you to set it up with Ivonne, but for me, from a player's point of view, it is ingenious, because I can come and play a day one from like 15 minutes away from my house, and then hopefully bag and be immediately in the money. So by the time I arrive in Malta, I'm in day one, I'm in the money. I am totally hyped up because I'm already in a positive mood. This is going to be absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, Yvonne suggested it to me, and I think I just literally, it was one word, and I just wrote, absolutely, let's do it. It's a no-brainer. I always look at, I mean, I'm a poker player myself, and I don't play as much as I used to or I'd like to, but I just look at things that I'd want to play, and things and games that I want to partake in, and tournaments that I would go, oh, I want to do that. And as Ivonne said, there's a wonderful appetite and a love for the MPF, and it's an exciting, the excitement is already building. I was playing in a tournament at the weekend, and we were talking about not long till Malta, and then and hugs at the end, see you in Malta, because it's 8 weeks away, if that. And so I just think it's genius. It's a historical move, and it's a case of come win your way to Malta, and that never win your way has had truer words than this, because like you said, you're in day two. And the thing I love about the Malta Poker Festival is that the start time, so you can go and have a breakfast, you lay by the pool for a couple of hours, you feel like you're relaxing. Yeah, it's a combination of fun, sun, and then the love of poker. Obviously, it's just it's just the purest concoction of everything that you want. You know, it's such an amazing place. And, you know, bow to Ivonne, run so brilliantly. It's just integrity in poker is such a byword for me. And I have a real, you know, connection with anybody else that has the same interest in it. And Ivonne's right up there.
It's probably no surprise then that you're both on the board of the WPA, the Women's Poker Association. And for those who don't know, this is an international association providing resources and support for female players across the globe. Are you able to share a little bit how your collaboration will impact association's reach and mission? And are there any other key events you'd like to share with us? And whatever you want to tell us, but I'm just really excited by this, that you're not only industry leaders and tournament directors, but you also are focused on sort of minority group of players in the industry and are trying to impact that area too.
I was appointed as the VP of WPA International 2 years ago. And just until this year, we made an open call for the positions we wanted to fill within the board. And KJ applied for the Raise It Up manager program. And when I saw KJ's application, I'm like, yes, this is going to be one hell of a ride. She just got a scholarship in inclusion in the casino environment, in the gambling environment. So I think her background is so rich and she has so much to offer to the community in terms of even, I'm excited to work even the lingo of poker, even, you know, shall we call it ladies event anymore? Maybe not. Maybe we should call them women's events, even women's events. Is that, you know, so all these conversations we need to have. I'm sad to report that the female participation has decreased in 20 years I've been operating. It has decreased. And I think that we shouldn't be having these discussions, but we need to. We have to, because it's happening. It's not that we are raising it up out of turn, or it's not happening, it's paranoia. It's actually happening every day. It's still happening. Behavioral bad conduct on the tables. So for example, the TDA has its rules on poker etiquette and misconduct on the tables. And Rule 71 includes betting out of reach, abusive conduct to the dealer, abusive conduct, offensive hygiene, and excessive chatter. But there's not yet a clause of abusive behavior towards a minority, racial slurring. This should be included in that clause, because we just saw a video where a dealer didn't know what to do. I mean, there was a player berating a woman and he was frozen. What he needs to do is call the floor immediately, and then the floor should enhance this rule. But this is a conversation we could have, for example, with Matt Savage, that runs TDA, along with Jack Eiffel and so on. And I think the WPA International should be, and WPA should be the umbrella for us to provide this conversation, to start these conversations, because it is happening. When people tell me, why do we need ladies events?
Seat at the table to have these conversations with them. Is that what you said? Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Exactly. I want to have these conversations with them, because I am sure they have not experienced as men what we have experienced as women. And it's still happening. As I've said 1,000 times, it happens to me, it happens to KJ, and we are fairly strong, seasoned women in the industry. And during last TPT in Barcelona, I almost stood up. Imagine, John Kite had to hold me and tell me, relax, take it easy, because this player really got into my nerves, calling me names and so on. So it's still happening. That's why we need to have ladies events, only to safeguard a little bit beginner women in the game, so that they don't experience this and run away from the game. It's no wonder to me why the ratio of women in live poker has not increased when we have examples like this. I mean, I try to be a positive person and highlight the positive of our industry, but this is still happening. And it's really a shame. And I don't see, it's not only still happening, I don't see any penalization, any standardized response to such abuse. So I think this needs to
really
change.
Good points there. I have to agree with you. And I just want to raise the reason why I like playing in Kerryjane's poker room, not only because she's my friend, but Kerryjane, please add to it. I feel incredibly safe and secure in that room, because not only are the dealers on point, I know that if I ever feel uncomfortable, I can speak to the dealers, and if the dealers don't know how to handle it, her floor managers are absolutely there within a second and will deal with this issue discreetly if it needs to be, you know, because they're still clients, these poker players. But Kerryjane, maybe you can sort of speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's fundamentally at the core of what, you know, of who I am and how I've always envisaged the room. I mean, I've used the words integrity before, and so that it runs through that. Human nature dictates that people are acting in a certain manner, and there is unconscious bias in everyday experiences and everyday environments. And what we have to do without throwing it right into people's faces is gently, I guess, educate what is acceptable and what isn't. What I'm very clear on is what isn't acceptable in the card room. I'd like to think that we offer an inclusive environment, and I want everybody to feel safe. One of the things that I do say to all of my staff and to players, actually, if they want to speak to me about a situation that they've been involved in from the other side, and they don't believe that they were acting in any, you know, poor manner. And that is, if your behavior has altered the experience in any way of another person in the card room, then that is not acceptable. Everyone has to have the same experience, and that is a good experience. Winning or losing, you can't alter your emotions. However, what you must be able to do, and what you must enable other people to do, is to walk away feeling that they enjoyed the environment, that they were respected, and that play was at a level that was equal to everybody sat at the table.
Yeah.
And that's not me preaching, that's me saying that's a fundamental right of everybody that walks into any communal space.
Well, there's a aspirational standards at some point. I think there's a good standards to have. That I've always felt the same, that I felt dealers should be empowered by what they can and can't demand of the players. Certain etiquette, like they hear swearing, they can absolutely, without being fearful of being maybe abused in return, right? I mean, we have seen this as well, where often players don't even recognize a change of dealers. So why would they, you know, they don't acknowledge them. I always make a point in welcoming each dealer and thanking them as they leave. But that's me. But I think if we start to empower our dealers with a good, solid set of rules that are global, then maybe we can see some change and some etiquettes being applied. But yeah, as a final roundup, is there anything you would like to add to our conversation? I mean, we know we've got the tournament day one at the Hippodrome in mid-March, but there's also, you mentioned Mystery Bounty, there's also Mystery Bounty, right?
Yeah, so we start off that little mini festival with a mystery bounty, and so it is medium priced, and it follows every mystery bounty structure. Player day one, we've got 3 day ones that you can play and then the bounties kick in on day 2, and the envelopes. I mean, I enjoy watching people open the envelopes. I'm like, oh, what they got. And so depending on what the prize pool is, obviously, like a normal tournament, we have X amount of money that goes into the general prize pool. So those making the money make the money. And then those eliminating players get a bounty. They go choose the envelope. It's everybody knows about it now. But we're guaranteeing at least one full Malta Poker Festival package in one of those envelopes. So that's going to be flights, it's going to be 5 nights accommodation, it'll be buy into the grand event, it will be buy into a side event, and it will be a welcome party included.
Oh my goodness, that's huge value.
Huge value, wow. And I am so glad that this super series that the Hippodrome is hosting, it starts with the mystery bounty and then has the day 1A on Saturday. But I'm happy it's not all about MPF because I want to play some. So I'm going to be playing the mystery
battling with you because I'm going to be there. Like, registration.
I am so excited to spoil myself in the beautiful Leicester Square. Now I have my little place where I stay, and I'm loving it there. And I can't wait to play the mystery bounty and then day 1A of MPF on Saturday, and then Sunday as well. You have a full ladies of the Hippodrome Club all day shenanigans with packages, with points to your leaderboard. It's great. It's great, which I'm going to also play.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, we've qualified people to that already, and in the ladies club. So, you know, we're kickstarting that off, and it's what I really love about the MPF is that it's affordable. It's an affordable festival, and what we're doing is enabling those that, you know, that want to go play it and get their foot firmly in the middle of it all by winning their seats here in London. And why wouldn't you want to do that? I mean, it's just the easy thing to do.
Easy game indeed, huh?
Many times we've debated if we should raise a little bit the buy-in, you know, 550. I've been doing 550 in Malta these weeks for 15 years, and I'm, you know, inflation, and we always debate, but we've kept the price point the same because it's been such a winning concept. And you really pay it's amongst the lowest buy-in festivals in the world, but I like to think and feel that we deal the cards as a 5-star operation. And that's what's so beautiful. Once you buy in, forget it. You're one of our VIPs.
Oh, awesome. I mean, winning concept or winning formula, you definitely, both of you have demonstrated that there's some combinations, especially when you bring the two highly inspirational and successful women together, and they come up with these innovative ideas and very, very thoughtful way of enhancing play experiences. It's just such a joy to see, and it's exemplary, and I hope others will take note and maybe take a leaf out of your notebooks. So thank you again both so much for everything you do for us women in poker, but also for your leadership and for your time today.
Oh, thank you, Alex. You've been instrumental in making this fantastic interview, and I also want to thank both of you for being dear friends. I feel less lonely, I feel accompanied, I feel supported, and this is an integral part of being a human. You know, it's not only work. For me, it's my life. I'm here alone with my boys and my husband in Malta because I have my work here, my poker job. So it gets lonely. I'm Costa Rican, it gets lonely. I'm used to dancing reggaeton on Fridays. It's hard.
You come to London, we're going to do some reggaeton dancing.
Yes.
We're promising you that now.
So yeah, I want to thank you both for making me feel so welcome and so accompanied on this journey. I think we should, you know, once you find this, poker has given me everything. My friends, my life, my children, everything. I'm very thankful. So I'm very thankful that you're part of my journey.
Oh, I feel the same. We feel the same.
100%.
Okay. Well, I will see you both very soon. See you at the tables.
Yeah,
Bye.
the same.
See you.